Hey there all you gals and gents, this is Axolotl Aristotle here today to bring you another Blitz Precon upgrade guide for the new Tales of Aria decks. So this video is going to focus on the Briar Precon deck, and for those of you that don't know, Briar is an elemental runeblade hero with Essence of Earth and Lightning, which means you can't use any ice cards whatsoever. Her first ability is whenever an attack action card you control deals damage to an opposing hero, create an Embodiment of Earth token. The Embodiment of Earth token gives your non-attack action cards +1 in defense until the start of your next turn, and it's really good if you could start stacking them up. Her second ability is, whenever you play your second non-attack action card each turn, create an Embodiment of Lightning token. So an Embodiment of Lightning token basically gives your next attack action card go again. So, unlike my previous video, the Oldhim Precon, there is really only one way to build Oldhim. With Briar, there's definitely multiple ways. You could go wide with her, or you could deal arcane damage, and for this video, I'm going to focus on dealing arcane damage. So normally I just kind of ignore the equipment, but I think since we're doing arcane, it's really important to mention her weapon, Rosetta Thorn. Rosetta Thorn is 2 damage, 2 hands, and you can attack once per turn if you pay 1 resource. The important thing is, whenever you attack with it, if you've played an attack action card and a non-attack action card this turn, deal 2 arcane damage to target hero. And the reason I'm focusing on Arcane so much is if we go back to Briar, her first ability is whenever an attack action card deals damage. So this stacks both with the regular damage and Arcane damage. So basically, all your attacks in the upgraded guide will get you 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens if both methods of damage connect. To begin, let's go through the Precon deck and what we're taking out and why. So we start off with Bramblespark, and we're going to take out all copies of it. It is a 0-drop action card with Earth Fusion. The next attack action card you play this turn gains. When you attack with this, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. And if it was fused, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3. Or, in the case of the blue, +1. So the reason we're taking this out is most of our cards are going to be lightning oriented. So we're going to have a lot of lightning, and we're not going to really have any earth whatsoever. So really, you're just playing this card to give your next attack +1 to arcane damage, and most of your attacks already do arcane damage, so there's just way better cards you can have. Next card on the chopping block is Burgeoning. It's 2-drop, and it is an earth action attack. It deals 6 damage, and if you play it from Arsenal, it gains +1. So we're cutting this because it doesn't deal arcane damage, and it's earth, so that's 2 things we don't need whatsoever. The next card is Earthlorn Surge. We're going to get rid of it. It's a 2-drop card. It's an earth action, and it gives your next attack action. You play this turn +5, go again. So we don't want this card because it doesn't deal arcane damage, it doesn't give arcane damage, and it's earth. Next we have Entwine Earth. It costs 2. It's an elemental action attack. It has Earth Fusion, and since we don't run any earth cards and it doesn't deal arcane damage, it's useless to us. Next up is Entwine Lightning, a 0-drop card. It's an elemental action attack with Lightning Fusion, and if it was fused, it gains Go Again. I think this is a good card. I think it's good in Briar Go Wide, but it's not what our build of the deck is going to want to do. Our build is going to want to have arcane damage on every single thing we can have. Next up is the first rare, Evergreen. It's a 3-drop earth action attack, and if you play it from Arsenal, you put it on the bottom of your deck at the end of the turn. So we don't really want this. It's just a generic attack and it's earth, so it doesn't do anything for our final build. Next up is Explosive Growth. It's a 1-drop elemental runeblade attack action card. It has Earth Fusion, so that already hurts the card. And then if it's fused, whenever it deals damage, attacks you control get +1 this combat chain, and when you attack with it, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. So it's definitely nice to do the arcane damage, but unfortunately, we're never going to earth fuse it, so it's basically just a generic card that happens to deal arcane damage, and we can have way better buffs or arcane damage that actually has other abilities that stack. Next up is the other attack action rare called Rites of Lightning. It is a 1-drop elemental runeblade action attack. It has Lightning Fusion, which is already amazing. Then when you attack with Rites of Lightning, if it was fused, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. And if you have dealt arcane damage this turn, Rites of Lightning gains Go Again. So this card is absolutely perfect. It is cheap for only 1 mana. It has a big attack, it deals arcane damage, and it has Go Again. It is just the perfect card for our deck because this means that if they take both the regular damage and the arcane damage, we're making 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens. If they somehow block all the physical damage, they know that we'll have another attack action to play and we'll still make 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens. It's perfect. The next card we're going to be cutting is Rites of Replenishment. It's a 2-drop Elemental Runeblade action attack card. It has Earth Fusion. When you attack with it, if you have dealt arcane damage this turn, you may put a non-attack action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. And if you attack with it, if it's been fused, you may put an attack action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. So it's nice to put the arcane damage back on the bottom of your deck. However, we're not going to have a lot of Earth Fusions. We're not going to have a lot of Go Agains. Plus, it costs 2 mana, which is pretty hefty for this deck, so that's why it's not making the cut. We're also going to be cutting So Tomorrow. It is a 1-drop Earth action, so it's Earth, so we already don't want it. It costs mana, it doesn't deal damage, it doesn't give our next cards damage. It just allows us to return an Earth or Elemental action card with cost 0 or greater from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. We are going to keep Stir the Wildwood. It is a 2-drop Elemental Runeblade action attack card. It has Earth Fusion, which is weird, I know. We're not really going to be fusing it with any Earth cards. However, it does have the ability, if you have dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, give it 2+ damage. So if you've dealt arcane damage to an opposing hero this turn, which you more than likely will with our build of the deck, it'll just be a nice 7 attack beater to end the turn with. We're going to cut Weave Earth. It is a 0-drop Earth action. The next Earth or Elemental attack action card you play this turn gains +3. If it's fused instead, it gains +4. Now, I actually do like Weave Earth. I just don't think it's good in our current build of the deck. We're more focused on dealing arcane damage and keeping our regular attack low, so our opponents think twice about just blocking, 2 regular damage or 3 regular damage or 1 regular damage, because that means that we're getting 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens. And all of a sudden, if we have like a big, huge attack card, they're going to start trying to block that damage, and we're not going to get as many Embodiment of Earth tokens. Next up, we go to Pitch 2s, and we are going to remove Autumn's Touch. It's 3-drop, it's Earth attack action, it's just a generic card, so we don't want Earth, we want things with abilities. This card is just utterly horrible. I wouldn't run it in any deck, really. So next up, we're going to keep Electrify. It's a 1-drop Lightning action card, so it already procs all our Lightning fusions. It reads, the next time an attack action card hits a hero this turn, it deals 2 damage to them, and if you played it from Arsenal, draw a card. So this card is nice. It's something you'll arsenal or use for fusions. It'll replace itself by drawing a card, and it makes all your small attack cards scary because the opposing hero is going to be like, well, I don't want to take, 2 or 3 additional damage, so I guess I should block it, and it just kind of feels bad when you only block a card with 1 attack. We're going to keep the Flash as well. It is a 0-drop Lightning action card, so it procs all Lightning fusions. And it reads, the next action card you play this turn with cost 1 or greater gains Go Again. So remember when I said most of our attack action cards don't have Go Again? Well, this card is the solution to that. So when we run the yellows and in the final build we'll have the reds, it'll basically give every single card in our deck Go Again, no matter what it is, because the most expensive card we'll have is Stir the Wildwood, which costs 2. We are cutting the Lightning Surge. It's a 0-drop Lightning action attack, and I think it's really good in the Go Wide version of Briar. But here, it doesn't really do anything for us aside from providing some fusion material, which we'll have anyways with all the other Lightning cards in the deck. We're going to remove the 1 copy of Summerwood Shelter. It is a 0-drop Earth instant, and it reads, target defending Earth or Elemental action card gains +3 this turn. This card just feels redundant considering we're making a bunch of Embodiment of Earth tokens that already buff our defenses immensely. It just seems wasteful, plus we don't really use the Earth Fusion whatsoever, so we're just going to get rid of it. And the final cards we're going to cut from the precon are the Amulet of Earths. I think they're really good in the Go Wide version of Briar, but here we're not going to be fusing anything with Earth, so we won't even be able to proc it. Alright, real quick, before we get into the upgraded deck, I'd like to ask if you could like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing. And without further ado, let's get into the upgraded build. Alright, so this is the final build that I have for Briar for arcane damage with the $20 of upgrades. I'm going to start with the most important card in the deck, and it is Ball Lightning. So Ball Lightning is a 0-drop Lightning action attack card. So it already fuses with our Lightning cards, and that's great. But why it's so amazing is that its ability states, whenever a lightning or elemental action card would deal damage this combat chain, instead it deals that much damage +1, Go Again. So similar to what I was talking about with Briar and arcane damage, this also triggers twice. So 1 for the regular attack and 1 for the arcane damage. So it's basically giving every single one of your cards +2 damage potential, and I think it's absolutely great. We have a full plated set of ball lightnings in every single pitch, so we have 2 red, 2 yellow, and 2 blues. Next up, we have Arcane Shockwave. It is a 0-drop elemental runeblade action attack. It reads Lightning Fusion. When you attack with Arcane Shockwave, if it was fused, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. This is exactly what our deck wants to do. A 0-cost card, decent attack stat, and it deals arcane damage. We also added in 2 red Electrifies because it fuses our lightning cards and it replaces itself and gives extra damage if we play it from Arsenal. We added in 2 red Flashes because it'll give everything in our deck go again and it triggers all our lightning fusions. We added 1 red Rites of Lightning, and we added 2 blue Rites of Lightning, because this card deals arcane damage, regular damage, and has go again. Next up, we added 2 Flicker Wisp, because not only is it a great card, but it also gives you that mythic fix, so you don't just have commons and rares. So Flicker Wisp reads Lightning Fusion. If Flicker Wisp was fused until end of turn, action card effects you control that deal arcane damage instead deal that much arcane damage plus 1. So this card is nuts, and we haven't even finished reading it. It'll give every single one of our cards a +1 damage boost to one of the hardest things to block in the game. And whether you fuse it or not, it'll deal 1 arcane damage to target hero, but more than likely you're going to fuse it, and it's going to deal 2 arcane damage, and it has go again. Absolutely incredible card. Next card we added was Amulet of Lightning. It is a 0-drop lightning action item, so it fuses all of our lightning cards. It has go again and instant. Destroy Amulet of Lightning, target action card gains go again. So as you've seen so far, most of our attack action cards don't have go again aside from Rites of Lightning, so this will be a nice card to fuse with, and it'll be a nice card to give go again with. We added 2 blue Sigil of Suffering. It is a 0-cost Runeblade defense reaction with 1 defense. It reads, deal 1 arcane damage to the attacking hero. If you have dealt arcane damage this turn, Sigil of Suffering gains +1 to defense. So this pitch is for 3, but if you really need an additional card to defend with, this also deals an arcane damage and soaks up 2 damage. One of the last cards we added was 2 copies of Sting of Sorcery. It is a 0-drop Runeblade action aura card. It reads, go again. Attack action cards you control gain. When you attack with this, deal 1 arcane damage to target hero. So much like Flicker Wisp is increasing the damage of Arcane, Sting of Sorcery is just adding an additional Arcane to all of the attacks we'll be using per turn. The only drawback is that you have to destroy it at the end phase, but you should get 2 to 3 damage of Arcane off of this. We added 2 blue Stir the Wildwoods. Honestly, you'll probably use this to pitch most of the time, but you can still attack for 5 with it, which is pretty nice. And now the final card we added to the deck, Vexing Malice. It costs 1 and is a Runeblade action attack card. It reads, deal 2 arcane damage to target hero. Yes, it doesn't have go again. Yes, it only attacks for 1, but you can pitch it for 3 mana. You can just play it to deal the 2 arcane damage, and if you have a Flicker Wisp or a Sting of Sorcery, then you're dealing upwards of 3 to 4 arcane damage. It's just absolutely fantastic. So my final word of advice for playing the deck is to utilize Rosetta Thorn. So you should always be able to attack with it. It should be the last card you have on a chain link because it will not get go again, but it deals 2 arcane damage, which is hard to block, and they probably won't have any resources to block the regular 2 damage anyways at that point. So much like the last deck tech I did, I'm going to include a section of non-budget upgrades you can have to the deck if you find out that you really like it, or you have the money to spend right now. Start off, we have Pulse of Candlehold. It is 0 cost and can pitch for 2. It is an Earth Lightning action, so you can use it to fuse anything in the deck. Unfortunately, it's legendary, so you can only have 1 copy of it, but it reads, put up to 2 target Earth, Lightning, and/or Elemental action cards from your graveyard on top of your deck, and then banish Pulse of Candlehold to go again. So you're mainly going to use this as pitch and fusion material for the first half of the game, but once you get to the mid part of the game, you're going to start using this to get back your best damage dealing, your best arcane damage dealing cards. You could also get back a Flicker Wisp to give every single thing a damage bonus. All around great card. We also have Blink. It is a 0-drop lightning instant, so it fuses all of our lightning cards, and it reads gain 1 action point. So Blink is great pitch material, and if you really want to continue the combat chain or you really want to attack with Rosetta Thorn, you can just cast this and get an additional attack. So I'm sort of on the fence for recommending the last card, and for 2 reasons. So the card is Duskblade. It is a Runeblade weapon. It's two-handed and it swings for 2. It reads once per turn. You can pay 1 to attack. Whenever you attack with it, if you've played an attack action card and a non-attack action card this turn, put a 1+ damage counter on Duskblade. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't played an attack action and a non-attack action card this turn, remove all the counters from it. I think it's a really good card that you can make swing for 7, 8, or even 9 damage, but the problem is it doesn't deal arcane damage. It won't make 2 Embodiment of Earth tokens. It's better suited to a Runeblade champion like Chain. In addition, it's only legal in Blitz, so if you move up to Classic Constructed, you're going to have to go back to Rosetta Thorn anyways. Plus, if Duskblade becomes a problem in the Blitz Chain deck, they're going to ban that too. So I just don't feel safe recommending it, but if you really want it, you definitely can. This has been the $20 Briar Precon Upgrade Guide. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and especially comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this deck. If you wanted to support this channel even more, I also have a Patreon and I'll leave a link down below. Thank you all for watching and I hope to see you next time.